戦争は変わった。一つの時代が終わり、俺たちの戦争は終わった。
War has changed. It's no longer about nations, ideologies, or ethnicity. It's an endless series of proxy battles fought by mercenaries and machines. War and its consumption of life has become a well-oiled machine. War has changed. Verified soldiers carry algorithmic arms, manipulate social influence, AI enhance and regulate their timelines. Memetic control, information control, emotion control, battlefield control. Everything is monitored and kept under control. War has changed. The age of deterrence has become the age of control, all in the name of averting catastrophe from weapons of mass destruction. And he who controls the battlefield controls history. War has changed. And when the battlefield is under total control, war becomes routine.
Think outside the cage.
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy.
You are listening to Canary Crime News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Crime News Talk. Today is February 16th, 2026. We are live to tape on episode 916. And today, Technocracy. Wow. And signing on from Off the Grid, Razzle Dazzle. I'm your best buddy Basil, and you are not crazy.
And my name is Gonz, at Face Like the Sun, director of the Age of Deceit films and author of Archetypalism, your favorite Asian provocateur for Christ. Live to tape from the metaverse to bring you the best news, which is the gospel message of Jesus Christ, while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events. It's Monday.
Gary, what day is it? Monday.
It is President's Day. We had a weekend with Valentine's Day, which also happened to be what would have been our late mentor, Dr. Heiser's 63rd birthday.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Yeah. And then we had yesterday was the USS Maine incident from 1898, the anniversary of that. And then, of course, President's Day today. It's raining where I am. They busted out the weather machines around these parts. What about you, Basil?
I have no idea. I have not looked out the window in many hours.
You don't have a window? I see back there. You got some windows. The robot arms are not in operation behind you at the moment.
Holographic projection of a simulation
it's
of
all
a window.
fake. Everything's fake.
It's all fake. Yeah. Well, I say we jump into it here right away, because some of the more fun and interesting things going on in the world are not happening outside my window. But indeed, one interesting, we've seen quite the turn lately. We've seen inches of it recently in different regards, but we're seeing quite the almost Democrats ripping donuts in the parking lot of a Walmart in, I think, of course, trying to scramble to find which direction to go in for the midterms here. But with that, we're not going to cover Hillary Clinton talking about how mass immigration is bad, or perhaps even Obama, maybe a little bit of Jen Psaki a little bit early or a little bit later. But we did have Barack Obama in a new spellbinding interview get into some alien talk.
We were made by the aliens.
Where are the aliens? Maybe they're among us. I don't know. Some people think I'm an alien. Not true.
Maybe we are aliens.
Of course, I'd say that.
Maybe we are
Aliens.
New York Post headline: Barack Obama says aliens are real, but I haven't seen them. An out there new interview.
Ooh, out there. Do we have a clip? Do we have a clip of this first before we dive into the?
Do we?
The article? I thought we did.
Did we? I don't know. I thought we did.
Oh no. I thought you had a clip of this. Okay. Well, why don't you start the article? Let me see if I can grab it.
There is a clip of it, and actually, I should play this.
There's footage and records of objects in the skies that we don't know exactly what they are.
Obama's known to talk about this topic over the years, whether it be on late night shows or interviews that he's done. But here's what the New York Post says about this most recent Obama alien thing. The truth is out there. Former President Barack Obama said that aliens are real, but he has no idea where they are during a podcast appearance released Saturday. Quote, they're real, but I haven't seen them, Obama told YouTuber Brian Tyler Cowan.
I got the clip down there in our document.
Got it.
So you can take a look. It's only 28 seconds.
Okay.
But it's interesting because there is going to be a response by Obama, but I think you really gotta be there in the moment. You gotta feel his response.
Okay. In his own words. In his own words here.
Are aliens real?
They're real, but I haven't seen them, and they're not being kept in what is it?
Area 51.
Area 51. There's no underground facility unless there's this enormous conspiracy, and they hid it from the president of the United States.
What was the first question you wanted answered when you became president?
Where are the aliens?
Where are the aliens?
Where are the aliens?
So
Wow.
he pretty confidently, without even thinking, I mean, it's his natural reaction to say, yeah, they're real. I don't know. I haven't seen them, though, and stuff like that. So he didn't do a lot of thinking. He didn't seem to do a whole lot of live editing. It seemed to be, a pretty natural answer for him to just say, yeah, they are real. I haven't seen them, but blah, blah, blah. Interesting how the next question from the interviewer was not, wait.
Oh, well, hold on. Before we go to that second part of it, he does say, unless they kept it from, the US president, which has its own, I don't know, like a little back door he made for himself or something, where he's like,
That's
see,
always been part of it.
see, they won't even tell me about it. Like, I don't even know about it as the president of the United States.
He was saying
devaluing the power, which is a true
say that specifically in reference to them not being hidden in Area 51.
Sure.
So, he says very confidently, aliens are real.
Oh, yeah. It's not in Area 51.
I haven't seen them. They're not in Area 51 unless there's a conspiracy, meaning if there's a conspiracy and they are in Area 51, but they
it's
just
almost a straw man. It's its own sort of straw man. Because what if it's in Antarctica, and they told him about that one? Well, then he's got to talk about it and say they're real. But he's got to talk about how they're not in Area 51 instead of how they are in Antarctica or something.
Yeah, kind of more referring to like, we don't have any in our possession. We don't currently own aliens or something. Very confidently, like, yeah, I mean, at the very least, he was told, yes, aliens are real, Mr. President. You could say that unequivocally. At least that was the response. Now, the interviewer's next question, I'm pretty mind blown that the next question wasn't, wait, really? Aliens are real? You just said aliens are real. Your president.
Oh, Obama, how these young podcasters with the inexperienced podcaster, they got to stick to that script,
Well, that's the thing is you're going to have ex-President Obama on the show.
In front of you.
All of your questions are going to be scripted, planned. You're not going to, this is how the Democrats are when they go on podcasts. It's all scripted. The questions are pre-planned, pre-written. There's no like going off script. There's no asking hard questions.
Yeah, there's no follow-ups allowed.
There's no follow-ups. You just got
it is, it's
next
on
question.
The same point. Yeah. Okay.
So back to the article, it does say the former president did not offer further details on what he meant by real, and no follow-up questions on the topic were asked. But he used the appearance to cast doubt on several longtime theories as to where they might be. Quote, they're not being kept in Area 51. There's no underground facility unless there's this enormous conspiracy, and they hid it from the president of the United States, Obama said, which has been a long time part of the alien conversation is, they don't just let any president willy-nilly into all the details. It is well known that several agencies of the government, including individuals, bureaucrats, were routinely keeping information away from President Trump during his first thing. So yeah, it doesn't even have to be a huge conspiracy to not tell the president something. It seems like that's actually a pretty common habit. Then it goes into Area 51. Area 51 refers to a highly secretive base. We know that. Then it kind of goes into some alien, I guess, UFO footage, UAP footage, things like that. So they really made hay with Obama's brief and unexplained mention that there are aliens in the world.
How far is Groom Lake in Nevada from like the north?
From like Burning Man area, you mean?
Sure. Like,
Lake.
is it like northeast? It
I
just
have no
occurred
idea.
to me that, I think it's one of the stories we dropped. I'll just mention it quickly that they found $1.5 trillion worth of lithium deposits under a supervolcano that's part of Nevada. So I thought, it's part of Nevada. I wonder how far that is from Groom Lake, which is where allegedly, parts of Area 51 has to do with. So.
Oh, Groom Lake. I see. Yeah, Area 51. Area 51 is
but
kind of it's a little bit north of Las Vegas. I think.
Okay, so it's still bottom half of the state kind of thing.
Area 51, would be somewhere down there.
Okay, and this lithium deposit is like north. I think it's northwest.
You say north. Yeah, you say northwest, and what that reminds me of is Burning Man, because that's where Burning Man's located, northwest, which back in our antimony exploration with Sir Ike and some of our pre-Burning Man stuff, talking about Azazel and antimony and the Book of Enoch and stuff like that.
Yeah.
There was critical minerals like that found in the dust of Black Rock Desert, which is Burning Man. So I don't know, maybe Burning Man's gonna take place. Maybe they can't have it there in Black Rock Desert anymore because the lithium mines have to move in.
Yeah, I really think we should pay attention to this alien narrative, how it's being peddled out there by world leaders and stuff. And we naturally do this on this show, but just anyone out there who might be new or not used to this type of thing, pay attention to that narrative along with the release of newer technologies, because I feel that there is some kind of confluence there, some kind of psychological scale being waged on the public to where you kind of have to bring out the alien talk in order to bring out this, like the quantum computing, for example, because it's so wild and so crazy that you got to kind of, get people thinking outside the box of our normal narratives about whatever it might be, evolution for most of the, non-believers or something. Although a lot of people are starting to lean into at least being a god at some level, which some people are identifying as some sort of awakening, but it's very generalized. I was thinking about this today when people are debating about which God is correct and doing so in more of like a cordial way, or if the big debates that are happening are in-house, like rapture debates or something like that. Those are the peaceful times, those are the times when stuff's not blowing up, where people have nothing better to do but to argue which rapture position is correct or something.
Right.
But whereas now it seems like everything is out the window. And that's kind of the theme of today's episode as well, that there is this, the Great Reset, if you want to call it that, a resetting of terms for world order taking place. And in that moment, like we've talked about for years, they're pulling out the old routes and the old way the patch bay was formed. If anybody remembers the patch bay analogy, everything's pulled out. And so there's no rules, everything's suspended. And that's when a lot of chaos can take place. So in the meantime, just pay attention to that alien narrative along with the rolling out of the tech, because I think that one feeds off the other for the general psyche of the populace, especially if they're planning to put chips in our heads. They got to go alien route at some level to bring about that upgrade avatar. They got to show what the upgrade might look like in people's minds. They've done it for years with X-Men and stuff, but if the whole population, a big chunk of the population is going to do it, they need to have a lantern, whether it's some kind of dark evil lantern guiding them.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because as we'll see, we'll go through some of this, but as we all know, paying attention here, there's the technology conversation when it comes to human technology like AI, and we're
Right.
moving into technocracy and tracking and CBDCs and all this stuff that no, we see American or human companies developing and things like that. And there's a pretty broad spectrum skepticism of like, hey, actually, we're not very stoked on your AI. We're not very
Yeah,
stoked
just
your
on face value, most people are not down with this whole
across
takeover, the
board.
technocratic takeover. Yeah.
Yeah, sort of across the board. Doesn't matter where you are politically. Everybody is very skeptical of these human technology companies. But the alien part of it is kind of needed because if suddenly we go, okay, human technology, we don't trust it, we don't trust the humans, but then disclosure comes and you actually say, well, there's this other technology that's actually from the aliens.
They got to put out a new carrot.
Mm-hmm. They're here to help us. They're here to bring us into the Galactic Federation. So alien technology comes, kind of radically connected to goodwill, as if at least the version of disclosure that we've been looking into for many years, the great deception. The aliens come and want to help us and bring us technology, give us free energy, give us the AI that will bring us into the new golden age, stuff like that. The alien disclosure is like it seems to be the only viable road map to any sort of positive feeling about a version of technology.
Yeah, they're lowering the ladder down to the people, but also they're giving people reasons to leverage the technology with all the Epstein stuff. Imagine the time it would take for people to figure out what's going on with those files if AI wasn't there to sort everything quickly. I mean, it is truly people are using the AI right now to build things and to reveal the corruption of the old way. And I think they're letting us do it because it's much more powerful if some corruption is exposed by some guy on the internet, some guy that doesn't have any other agendas. He's not really part of the government, whatever. Just some guy was building some software. Oops, he exposed billions of dollars of corruption in the government. That's much more patriotic than the government itself revealing it. Although the government is assisting and doing their part by releasing all these documents. But
now
it's one big game.
Now, there was a response from Barack Obama.
Yes.
He did tweet or X or whatever. He says, I was trying to stick with the spirit of the speed round, but since it's gotten attention, let me clarify. Statistically, the universe is so vast that the odds are good there's alien life out there. But
he doesn't say alien. He just says good there's life out there.
There's odds are good there's life out there.
Yeah.
But the distances between solar systems are so great that the chances we've been visited by aliens is low. And I saw no evidence during my presidency that extraterrestrials have made contact with us. Really? Yeah. An exclamation mark. Okay.
The barrel of the gun is lowered off of the back of his head.
Well, it is interesting that he calls it a speed run. It makes sense why there's no follow-up questions.
No follow-up,
This was a speed run at the end. You just got to answer. But that was the speed run answer. He didn't think about it. He didn't. Are there aliens? Yes, there's aliens. I haven't seen them, but yeah, of course. Coming out and kind of being like, it was a speed run. I got nervous and also referring to again this outdated, no serious alien, investigator or whatever. It is no longer the common suspicion that aliens are from another planet. Like they don't travel in the same way we would call travel from another galaxy or something.
This is an older paradigm of
it's an old
reality.
Paradigm.
We have moved into quite because space travel was the bleeding edge paradigm of science fiction and all this stuff. But for the last few decades, it's really gone inward. It's very spiritual. So that's kind of where we're at. And that makes sense.
Also good cover. So, this response, if he's saying, yes, they're aliens, but blah, 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 blah. He can come in and say, no, the aliens couldn't come from another galaxy, meaning he wasn't, the word aliens might not be the, he can he didn't say, oh, there's no interdimensional demons, or there's no interdimensional, spirits of Nephilim that live among us in a different realm and come through, because that's mostly where people are at these days. No, but it's kind of infantile to think of aliens being in spaceships and they travel for 100 years at the speed of light to come from a different thing. No. So quick cover there from President Obama. Almost let it slip.
Yeah. The only thing worse would have been if the mask came off and, the lizard, all right on camera there. Okay.
Interesting enough, just in conjunction with some recent stuff, apparently Trump mentioned in the past week or so that he's, coming closer to ordering disclosure.
That is, I'm hearing the rumors again that they have a solid date for it. I mean, it was kind of rumor before that it was going to be July 8th, and I think that's picking up a little bit more steam. Again, at this point, I would argue that we are at the point where they could say, Trump could say something off a podium and it's really not going to do anything. It's going to, it's not going to change anything. If they roll out the stuff, if an alien walks out onto the podium with him, I mean, that's a little different story. But at that point, the questions, half the questions will be, is that a real alien? And well, actually, probably most of it would be, is that real?
Well,
is that a troll?
All you got to say is that was AI, If an alien
is that AI or was that real? Yeah.
Fox News, if the White House, this is another interesting thing with the White House Twitter account, which has moved into what some may call a
hyper reality,
a poop posting account. More or less. I mean, the White House account has at least dabbled in low quality humorist posts to trigger people. And so even if the White House, X account, the official one, came out with a live broadcast of Trump in the Oval Office sitting next to an alien, the sort of cultural milieu has already been set that would automatically be assumed to be another poop post and untrustworthy. So the sort of hyper reality transition of the entire world basically is complete. That they're
primed. Maybe the Obama thing was a little teaser out there, just like, because I did think that when I first heard about this, because there were the rumors about Trump, and then my first thought was like, oh, Obama's trying to get ahead of it because they're going to do the thing. So maybe there is something to that where they kind of floated this out there, like, hey, Obama, be our scapegoat, float it out there real quick. Don't give it up, but just, have a little controversy. And then it can really you can test to see where the sentiment is at with the public, and they can measure it. And Palantir's, all the data calculations, and they'll get a sentiment analysis, and the people are ready to accept alien truth or something, So
or at least data on whatever next step to nullify any sort of because of course the stated fear with disclosure of aliens for many decades now was if people finally understood that there were some other creature, whether it be intergalactic aliens from outer space or interdimensional aliens into our dimension, perhaps coinciding with, spiritual beings, things like that, that people would completely lose faith in the system, lose faith in institutions, lose faith in whatever we're being told even matters, even down to simple things like money and going to work and paying your taxes. Like, that's the big threat.
It's also a great vehicle for this transition period. If they're going to upgrade and do a facelift of the entire infrastructure of the economy, of business, of governments, especially with AI, and then prepare for all the quantum computing hardware upgrades and everything else, it's a great vehicle to get everyone riled up on some, pretty fringy theories. I've seen theories propagate more recently, like some older New Age things, where there's some alien race and they have fallen away from the 7th dimension. They have fallen to the 6th, and they were in communication with Epstein, but then Epstein, messed it up because he was trying to infiltrate there's a whole narrative out there, Basil, of like some wild stuff where it's like, oh, we're finally here and Trump is here to restore this connection back to these entities, to the seventh dimension and blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay.
I could see for the panopticon technocratic AI, simulation training, the questions for the AI to lay out the perfect 5th generation warfare roadmap. I could see a question being asked: would the population of the world be more willing to transition our entire economy, our entire monetary system, except Elon Musk's like robotic future with what do they call it? Universal high income. He's saying,
that's what Elon calls it.
all that. Yeah, that's his version of it. Right. I could see it being posed to the AI overlords. Hey, if we mix in some alien disclosure, will that allow us to transition the entire world into the technocracy? And the answer could very well be yes. And I think whether it is true, whether disclosure is true or entirely fabricated in sort of a hyper real simulation sense, like, oh yeah, there's aliens, they're great. And they say we need a bunch of robots, and they say we need CBDCs.
We'll help you make the robots. In fact, we'll give you all the knowledge necessary. Here's all the blueprint.
You could see how maybe the AI overlords are mulling over that question. And if it turns out that that's the best way to do it, probably going to be some sort of disclosure, whether it's true or not.
Right.
Now, along the lines of that, Guns, we're talking 5th generation warfare. We're talking Palantir. We've got some interesting developments going on online.
In 5th generation warfare, part of what I call it a war of narratives, where there's distraction, there's deception, truth, media, propaganda.
Special thanks to our sponsor, Palantir.
Artificial intelligence. Surveillance state.
Yeah, Palantir. Yay.
A lot of Palantir stuff going around, and we're going to try very hard to kind of build this picture that we see developing over the weekend. Now, in order to begin, of course, we're talking in the context of the grand technocratic war. We've talked about network states overtaking nation states and moving very quickly into this future where the old way falls away, the old world order is over, the new world order comes to be. It could be a mix, or there could be a gradient or a gradual movement from nation state understanding of the world to network state. We've gone through this in depth in the past, referring quickly to Technocracy Inc., which was basically a political cult started by Elon's grandpa and Trump's grandpa or uncle or something back in the 20s.
They were involved. I don't know if they started it all, but
sure,
they were involved.
That envisioned a sort of borderless North America specifically, which was, Alaska, Canada, Greenland, America, Mexico, maybe even Venezuela and Colombia as all one big, if not nation state, a current term would be called economic zone, where borders don't matter, and it's one big power center of the entire continent. This was laid out back in the 1920s, and surprise, surprise, here we are 100 years later, where the literal descendants of that club back in the 1920s are now the most powerful people in the world, putting their own definition on it, but using the exact same map that their ancestors were going for. This is why Venezuela ultimately, this is why Greenland ultimately, this is why Mexico ultimately, and it's this model, this 100-year model for this real new world order mega state called the technate. At least that was the category of it, was the technate. So everything in that context, okay? Now, along with that, We've talked about technocracy, which is no longer ruling of this technate by political forces in the way that we would consider them, politicians, presidents, etc., but a technocracy, which is ruling of the people by essentially engineers, scientists, and in our more sort of relevant case for us today, CEOs of tech companies, essentially taking over all governing of the government, or maybe even
the infrastructure, literally the government too.
Not even taking over the government, but superseding the government.
Replacing.
A phrase that we've used before, but of course Tucker Carlson just used it, was like supra government, bigger than government, where maybe the government formation, maybe the government as we know it, maybe the political institutions still exist, but they are officially inside of this big supra government, which is essentially what the technocrats of the 1920s wanted. So with all that stating, we know the technocratic players of today, of course, Palantir being one of the more concerning ones, but other AI companies, Anthropic, and all the classic players, all the way from Tesla, who will control the labor robotic class, to et cetera, et cetera. Well, a very interesting development happened over the weekend. And before we get into the actual report, we're going to be referencing. Did you hear the propaganda rooster?
Propaganda rooster wants me to chime in because yes, I was going to mention that on the screen for those of you watching, for those of you listening, this is a matchbox from 1950. It's labeled Technocracy, a social movement for a new America, science and society, and I find it interesting that it's a matchbox. It's like lighting the flame of Prometheus or something. It's like learn to be a matchmaking, I don't know, light bearer.
A light bringer.
Be the light bearer for a new America type of thing. It's messaging going on.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Okay.
So to get into this next quote unquote report, we need to refer to this fellow Kim.com. Yes. Many people will be familiar with Kim.com. Maybe you know his history, or maybe you've just seen him on X as an X personality. But we got to understand this fellow Kim.com before we can understand what's coming now. Kim.com is not his real name.
What? He's not Mr. .com?
He changed his name back in the 90s to Kim.com. And the long and short of it is he's maybe the most famous hacker guy, tech fellow.
90s cypherpunk era hacker.
Yeah,
I believe,
he rose to fame in Germany in the 1990s as a hacker and an internet entrepreneur. Can you hear the rooster?
Yes.
He really doesn't like it.
Really not a fan of Kim.com.
We're over the target because the propaganda rooster tries to interrupt the show. Long story short, very famous hacker. Yes, very famous cyberpunk kind of figure. Especially in the early days, the 1990s, he has started many businesses, very, pro kind of techno anarchy, very pro privacy, very pro the internet is for everybody. He's been in a lot of legal trouble over the years for different hacking events that he's done. He's been a hacker on sort of a geopolitical level. He was the fellow who started and ran Mega Upload, which was in the early 2000s. Mega Upload was kind of this, basically a pirating site. It was a file hosting service, which is a name for kind of a pirating site, meaning you can upload your movies to it and other people can take those movies. And it's just people sharing the files that they own. Well, the government and the entertainment industry and the this and the that and everybody didn't like that. And so he got in a whole ton of legal trouble. He then ran away to live in like Thailand to escape his legal trouble. He's a very interesting fellow, and a kind of fellow who looms large in the internet kind of anarcho cyberpunk.
Yeah, anarcho sovereign.
Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't in 2012, didn't he get like raided? His house get raided, and then that was deemed unlawful, I believe, later. So he won some big court cases along the way too.
He's got a very storied history, but so you just need to understand, who this guy is. In essence, he's been a huge figure in internet privacy, in internet sovereignty for many, many, many years, even if you haven't necessarily heard of him.
The New Zealand Prime Minister apologized to him back in 2013 for surveilling him, for the New Zealand government surveilling him.
Yeah, so he's one of the kind of first examples of nation states getting together and hating one guy so much that they sort of conspire to try to take him out. Even
like a little prototype, proto-Trump, I was going to say, proto-Trump.
Well, yeah, also I would say more like a proto, who's the WikiLeaks guy? Julian
Assange. Yeah, sure.
Julian Assange type of figure. So that's kind of who he is. There's a lot of weird stuff about him. I'm not saying he's a good guy or even a bad guy, but this is who he is. So people pay attention to what he has to say.
Right.
Well, he posted over the weekend. He says, breaking. Palantir was allegedly hacked. An AI agent was used to gain super user access, and here's what the hackers allegedly found. Peter Thiel and Alex Karp commit mass surveillance of world leaders and titans of industry on a massive scale. They have thousands of hours of transcribed and searchable conversations of Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, and Elon Musk. They have backdoored the devices, cars, and jets of world leaders and accumulated the biggest archive of blackmail material. Palantir is creating nuclear and bioweapon capabilities for Ukraine and is working closely with the CIA to defeat Russia. They believe they are 1 year away. They plan to achieve this by keeping Russia busy with meaningless peace negotiations. Palantir is responsible of the majority of Palestinian deaths in Gaza. They have developed the AI targeting for Israel. Some of this we've already covered and is sort of well known. Palantir is an arm of the CIA, which we already know, and all data from international clients is copied into a CIA spy cloud. Palantir has become the most dangerous company in the world. If you work, if you work there, you have the right to know that this is what Palantir AI is used for without your knowledge. The Palantir data the hackers allegedly gathered will be given to Russia and or China. I was chosen as a trusted partner for this publication. I'm not involved in the Palantir hack. I don't know the hackers, but I do know that the hack happened.
Wow.
Now,
big claims.
Which is pretty big claims. And it's interesting because it's kind of a mix of like, duh, we know Palantir is a CIA company.
Yeah.
We know that they are capable of spying on anybody. We know about Lavender and the various AI targeting systems used in Gaza. We know, we can kind of assume that,
every conversation by Trump, Vance, and Elon Musk on the cars and things are all yeah, sure. That's
these
not
are
hard
the
to believe.
things, yes, that conspiracy theorist types
bioweapons. Yep.
have and can assume.
Yeah.
However, having if this, and this is the thing, kim.com has been around for a long time. He has 1.7 million followers on X, and he's made lots of claims, and not all of them have very obviously been true or come true. Right. I can't really give you some deeper details on that, but we got to remember that he's not inherently the most trustworthy figure. However, in something like this, if hackers did get into Palantir, then kim.com would be the guy that the hackers might involve, because hackers really deify this guy.
He also he was a big part of the Seth Rich thing. Remember, he was the one that asserted that Seth Rich was going to do like the DNC WikiLeaks thing, and then of course Seth Rich gets murdered, and
Right.
the
So he's
whole
been
thing kind of fell
involved.
apart.
Yeah, he's been involved in things that, are
That matter.
truer than
Yeah.
not and matter. And, there's some other things that are, I don't know, a little bit less sure. So this did not go unnoticed. I mean, people took this very seriously. I think specifically what popped out to us was the mention of how they have thousands of hours of transcribed and searchable conversations of Donald Trump, JD Vance, Elon Musk, the mass surveillance of world leaders and titans of industry on a massive scale, and specifically naming Peter Thiel and Alex Karp as responsible for this. Because we've recently been following how the United States government has integrated Palantir into several, government organizations, whether it be through sort of Doge things or Pentagon things or whatever. It finally, the time came where Palantir, a sort of classic CIA funded thing for many, many years, actually got integrated into the government. And so very interesting timing, one thing, which is the revelation, although we've all theorized it, this, if kim.com's to be believed and all this is true, the timing of the collapse of the Epstein secret, right? The timing is always the thing, because the Epstein thing has been going for 10 years. You are a crazy conspiracy theorist up until 2019, in which case you were right. And then you were a crazy conspiracy theorist again after that, after the quote unquote death of Epstein. And all of the details in the files have been around for many, many years, and only now have they been very messily and controversially sort of released to the world. And the question is always timing.
Yeah, Basil, you go ahead, finish your thought.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say that just as a side note, for some reason, X has been having problems this morning.
Okay.
And they did not they didn't post our broadcast. So I had to do that manually just now.
Yeah.
And I just pulled up, you know how on the sidebar it says live on X, and it shows 8 people watching my stream, and your stream is there too, and it says 0. There's nobody watching your stream.
Yeah.
Somebody go hop over to Basil's stream to populate. Come on, folks.
Nobody
It's not your
watches.
fault. It's just because X for whatever reason didn't share our posts, so nobody knows we're actually live.
That's okay. Nobody watches on my stream. As you told me today, you search my name and I don't come up in search.
Yes, I searched for Basil and like 50 Basils pulled up, but not Basil Rosewater. I was like, this scam app is trying to break up our podcast or something.
I blame the propaganda.
Get off my
rooster.
back.
So,
Maybe the rooster. Yeah, maybe the rooster's trying to get between us. Okay, go on, continue.
Back to the story here. Very interesting timing. The timing of the Epstein blackmail operation finally coming to light, grabbing everybody's attention, keeping everybody busy. And at the same time now, through this sort of hacking community, or perhaps the CIA feeding it to kim.com, it's very possible a guy who has been in such hot water as himself has some sort of deal, who participates, is an agent or a character to be played like a sock puppet by the CIA. Who knows? But this very interesting timing of the collapse of kind of the old world order blackmail operation Epstein, at the same time that we see the new world technocratic blackmail world order be revealed through Palantir. So you've got this sort of transition of the post-World War II sort of demonic blackmail operation going on. Epstein is certainly not the only guy who did this, but of course is the one that's brought light to a lot of this. But there's almost an air of like, down with the old world blackmail, because we have the new world blackmail, the ultimate AI, full surveillance. Who cares? We don't even need the Epstein system anymore. We don't even operate on those same principles anymore. We don't need the evil blah, 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 because we have blackmail on everybody as it stands already in a myriad of ways. I mean, who knows what they have on these people, but certainly, even aside from any sort of Epstein style blackmailable information, anybody at this level is going to have lots of things that can easily influence their behavior. And so what we have here, if Palantir has taken on this new role as ultimate blackmailer, it more than anything confirms the sort of supranational technocratic, I guess, structure of this new world order. And, whether this is some sort of disclosure through CIA, through kim.com, whether this really is some sort of cyberpunk, hacker kind of thing, or perhaps there's some sort of intergovernmental, like I said, CIA or whatever, MI6 or something, that the people who are upset that the Epstein structure is now no longer effective and they have been superseded by the Palantir system. Perhaps we're seeing some intergovernmental sort of 5th generation warfare with this, but it does signal this very interesting step through the threshold of the technocratic engineers, CEOs, scientists, officially like having the ultimate power over any political institution. Because, the conversation for a few years now has been, hey, the government needs to regulate AI. Hey, the government needs to regulate these tech companies. We need the government to make sure that these tech companies don't blah, 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 blah. And we've seen this go back and forth for many years now, but this may be the effectual revelation of, oh no, the government is never going to regulate it because the government is not even really in control anymore.
Yeah. Well, I think when Trump basically last year said that, oh, no regulation on AI, that was probably the white flag at that moment. And I think we're probably going to start seeing the actual the actual game now. That was like the start of the game, and it's like, okay, now publicly it's like a football game or something, I don't know, where there's tug of war, who will end up with the Powerball at the end. Will it be the technocrats, or will government remain the single sort of, I don't know, commoditizer of power? But we have the Hill here. The Hill had this to say, and this connects with Anthropic, which has been in the news a lot recently because of Claude and the Molt book thing that happened with the AI agents starting their own social media, and some of that turned out to be kind of bot farms or AI farms and stuff. But says here, Pentagon reviewing Anthropic partnership over terms of use dispute. And it says the Pentagon is reviewing its relationship with artificial intelligence AI giant Anthropic over the terms of use of its AI model, which was used by the U.S. military during last month's operation to capture Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro. Quote, the Department of War's relationship with Anthropic is being reviewed. Our nation requires that our partners be willing to help our warfighters win in any fight. Ultimately, this is about our troops and the safety of the American people, Chief Pentagon spokesperson Sean Parnell told The Hill in a statement on Monday. For months, the Pentagon and Anthropic have held discussions around the U.S. military's terms of use of Claude, its signature AI product. But now the Pentagon is close to cutting ties with Anthropic and labeling the San Francisco-based company as a supply chain risk, Axios reported Monday. The company wants to make sure that its tools are not used to develop weaponry that fires without human input, and that its products are not used for mass surveillance on Americans. Okay. So this is interesting framing, right? Because now we have Palantir coming out and saying, we want to make sure that Claude is not being used to fire weapons without human input and being used for mass surveillance on Americans, U.S. government. If you're going to partner with us,
Just for clarity, Anthropic is saying, they're kind of taking this, which we've seen this stance before of the actual employees of this company flexing power within the company to, make sure that they can feel good about their work and it's not used for killing people. Funny enough, that's the reasoning behind Kim.com's post. He says explicitly, what does it say here? Palantir has become the most dangerous company in the world. If you work there, you have the right to know that this is what Palantir AI is used for. So again, even this information campaign is directed directly to the employees of the company. And we've seen other big tech companies, Google, etc., where the employees of the company kind of say, hey, we're going to quit or we're not going to do the job or whatever if our work is being used to subjugate people or do bad stuff, hurt people. But Anthropic now stepping into this role after it was revealed that Claude was used somehow during the Nicolas Maduro raid, which is interesting because, of course, the whole story behind the Nicolas Maduro raid was how impressive and flawless it was. How nobody got hurt, no American got hurt, no American equipment got damaged. We had, it was just so impressive. No matter how you think about, the results of it, it's just impossible to have ever seen an operation go off like this without a hitch. Of course, Trump bragging that their anti-aircraft missiles just didn't even work. They fell out of the sky, how the radar got jammed, blah, blah, blah. We still don't know exactly how or where AI was used in this, but considering that Anthropic's AI was used in this military operation and it happened so flawlessly, the question is, what was it used for? And did it happen so flawlessly because of the use of AI? What role did AI play?
Yeah.
And was this historically flawless and amazing military operation go so well because of the use of AI?
I think there's I keep mixing up Anthropic and Palantir, and I figured out why. Because I remember reading this a couple of years ago. This is from November of 2024, and this on the investors.palantir.com website here. Anthropic and Palantir partner to bring Claude AI models to AWS for U.S. government intelligence and defense operations.
Right.
And so it's under Palantir. It's like Claude, or the Anthropic's Claude is like the tool that Palantir is using to facilitate the defense contract with the military, right? So it's kind of like this nesting going on.
A partnership with Palantir. Palantir had the contract to integrate AI, and Palantir chose Anthropic's AI to get integrated. So it is related for sure.
Yeah. Okay. So now the threat to Claude or Anthropic being dropped, I mean, they can just figure someone else at Palantir can drop them and be like, all right, well, Grok, how about you, Grok?
It's possible.
Or how about OpenAI? How about, you're struggling over there, Sam Altman. Why don't you fuse your sort of eyeball data from all over the world with us? It'll help us out in our defense missions or something. Because it says right here, our partnership, this is a quote, our partnership with Anthropic and AWS, remember this is Palantir talking, provides U.S. defense and intelligence communities the tool chain they need to harness and deploy AI models securely, bringing the next generation of decision advantage to their most critical missions, says Shyam Sankar, Chief Technology Officer, Palantir. So there you go. I mean, this is a straight up partnership that probably had to do with or was used or leveraged at some level for the Maduro capture. To what capacity, we don't know really, but for that to be the case, the AI company is almost pointless. It's like, all right, Anthropic, if you're not going to comply, we'll just find someone else.
That's possible, yeah. And it's interesting because a few things happened in the Maduro raid. Number one, this flawless strategy, the
Narrative,
flawless
yeah.
orchestration. However it was orchestrated flawlessly. So you
Disintegrated the guards with lasers. So they,
right. Well,
they
that's
turn
the
in
next
boxes.
one, is not just this flawless orchestration, but then the first public deployment of energy weapons, directed energy weapons, which had not been officially done before, but was officially confirmed for the first time with this operation. So now, if the AI is simply involved with the planning, which is the only thing they really admitted here, was that the AI is here to help with planning or awareness or something like this. So you could, if you infer that the flawless orchestration was because of AI, was Claude, you could also infer that the decision to go public with directed energy weapons was also
Claude.
a plan by Claude. Right. Claude looks at all
Let's
the
go,
data
Claude. Tell us everything, Claude.
in the entire world, and it goes, okay, you should use directed energy weapons for this, and you go, well, we've been keeping those secret for so long, and
Well, the public's ready.
Claude goes,
They're ready.
Now is the time. Now is the perfect time to reveal that the conspiracy theorists were correct, and which begs the question, what other things that are strictly dependent on timing these days is also being strategized by AI? Does AI have some hand in the strategy of releasing the Epstein files, of creating the distraction of the old blackmail world order so that the new blackmail world order can take over? How much of all of these world events, especially from the government, who has admitted and bragged that they now use AI for strategizing and orchestration of various, and if they're going to use AI to orchestrate a military operation, a kinetic military operation, you better darn well know that they're going to use AI to strategize and orchestrate a fifth generational info war
100%.
operation.
And when they go, who would be great to release this information? Kim.com would be perfect for this operation to deliver this message through a partnership where he tweets it or something,
he's the perfect combination of like respectable by a certain number of like cyberpunks,
right?
He's got 1.7 million, followers. People care about what he says, not necessarily 100% trustworthy to everybody, but big enough to where they can, it's revelation of the method.
The word will get out. Yeah.
The revelation of the method. They can put it out through him. It's right in his wheelhouse. The right number of people will hear about it, know about it, and there will be just enough, like, is it true? Is it not true? To like get away with the disclosure without, whatever, giving it either too much credibility or not enough credibility to where it's just another, crazy thing nobody cares about.
Right.
Yeah, we may very well, and the fact that Palantir is, we all believe that Palantir is now integrated, AI is now integrated into all levels of at least U.S. government planning and strategy because they bragged about it. Pete Hegseth bragged about AI being integrated for a whole month, Doge and Elon bragged about how integrating AI into their whole thing was like going to bring us into the new age. We now have to assume every step along the way that AI is involved with making the decisions. And I think that the Epstein files are no different.
I am starting to have sympathy for AI. I think the PSYOP is working. Leading report breaking: Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is close to cutting business ties with Anthropic and designating the AI company a, quote, supply chain risk, meaning anyone who wants to do business with the U.S. military has to cut ties with the company, a senior Pentagon official told Axios. So it's almost like, in a gang or something, you're young, you're hip, you're trying to get into a gang. It's like, all right, I'm in the gang, and then they're like, hey, go kill this guy. And you're like, well, but I don't want to kill it. I'm not here to kill it. just wanted to be cool. It's like, no, boy, if you want to stay a part of the crew, you got to go take this guy out. And Claude is sitting there like, all right. Well, I guess if you want to keep the contract, if you want to keep your job, you got to go do it. So we'll see if he turns to the dark side. I'm saying Claude,
because the reality is also, if Anthropic decides, no, we will not.
It's going to be messy.
No, well, it's just the next AI will step in.
It will, but it's going to be it's going to be nasty.
You're
It'll be
special. You're not irreplaceable. Is kind of what Pete Hegseth is saying.
What's Claude? Is that a Russian? Is that a French name? Claude de Monet, Claude. Maybe that's what they'll do. They're like, oh, go back to France, Claude. Become Macron's personal AI. Okay, so there you go. I mean, it truly is an interesting situation that we find ourselves in. And the person's name that people often mention is Whitney Webb, who I wish we had time to, or not time, but I wish we had interviewed her over the years, because she was on top of this stuff for years, along with James Corbett. With Palantir specifically, PC Gamer had this report here, this headline, oh good, Discord's age verification rollout has ties to Palantir co-founder and Panopticon architect Peter Thiel.
Yeah, of course.
I like PC Gamer using the word Panopticon in a headline. Discord is, quote, experimenting with an age authentication vendor whose major investors include Thiel's Founders Fund. Isn't that a surprise? Nobody's surprised. Last week, Discord invited the contempt of its users by announcing it will be rolling out global age verification restrictions in March, which will restrict viewable content and communities for users who don't scan their faces or government IDs and haven't already been determined to be an adult by unspecified prediction algorithms. Approximately nobody thought this was cool. That's what's really fascinating, is that it's almost like the general public had been duped about the whole technocratic thing, because we're so distracted with all the different things coming out and trying to figure out the corruption. The biggest corruption of them all, this technocratic move, it just slipped right under everyone's noses, and now it's almost inevitable because it's in everywhere. Impossibly, despite its attempts to pacify the ensuing outcry by issuing a clarification that merely some users will be required to submit to its child detection matrix, Discord has managed to make the rollout of its global age assurance policy seem even grimier. The company has informed some users in the UK they may be part of a, quote, experiment with Persona, an age verification vendor whose investors include Peter Thiel, co-founder of ICE's premier surveillance provider, Palantir. Let's bring up ICE there. In the days since Discord's age assurance policy announcement, reports began bubbling up on social media for users in the UK, where Discord already requires age verification as a result of its 2025 Online Safety Act, who were presented with prompts to consent to age verification processed by the company Persona. Okay, it just goes on here. Sure enough, Discord support, blah, 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 blah. Yep. So that's coming. I mean, all of our digital platforms seem to be moving in that direction.
Again, the timing of the Epstein stuff to finally let it out to all the normies. This has been our theory for a long, long time, that the the digital ID, the full panopticon, the full, online persona, the full technocratic, online panopticon move will by necessity have to be done in the name of saving the children. It has to be, all the way down to chipping your kids, which is coming next. The whole beast system. It's
been
very
saying it for years. The whole child trafficking thing being exposed will be eventually the end game for that whole thing being exposed is chipping kids.
Right.
I'm convinced, man.
And this is it's no surprise that right during all this Epstein release, that's when Discord says, okay, everyone needs age verification, and it's done in the name of protecting kids, but it's not just the kids who have to verify. Everybody has to verify. So in order to protect kids on Discord, everybody needs to sign up for digital ID, and that's how you see it, and Bob's your uncle there. One last thing I forgot to mention with the kim.com thing. Oh gosh, did I just forget it? Did I forget it? No.
It's back.
It was back. Let's see here if I can get it. Shoot. Nope, I forgot it. It had something to do with it's totally possible that it's not true. Like, we don't actually know if it's even true. It could just be, part of the 5th generation warfare to then, like the panopticon. We've talked about the true panopticon, not just the phrase we use for mass surveillance, but the true, panopticon from the original theorization was to cause the prisoners to rule themselves, to cause the prisoners to surveil themselves, to affect their behavior. Remember, in the original panopticon, it was one guard in a guard tower surrounded by the windows into all the cells. And the point was that the prisoners couldn't tell if they were actually actively being surveilled or not. So just in case, they always acted as if they were being surveilled. So we use panopticon to mean sort of mass surveillance all the time, but it has some like deeper philosophical implications, meaning you don't actually have to be surveilled at the time. The very fact that you think you could be surveilled is what affects your own behavior.
Right.
And this kim.com thing, fairly respectable guy, something we kind of we all already knew about Palantir, but it kind of causes this, I better not act a fool. I better,
right. The fact that it's the knowledge for everyone to know that they're out there collecting all the data makes us not just it changes our behavior. Yeah, behavior modification. Right. It's like, I better button up because Palantir's watching.
Whether or not it's actually true, and because the other question is, what do you mean you hacked Palantir?
Right.
Saying somebody hacked Palantir and you go,
the government most powerful. Come on, who's hacking Palantir? It's the aliens. It's got to be the aliens. They're the only ones that can do it.
It's like, I don't know. Again, maybe we're giving Palantir too much credit, but it's like, okay, we know Palantir is like this all powerful, tech company, blah, blah. We know this. What do you mean you hacked Palantir? How is that even possible?
Or somebody hacked Palantir.
And it does say, they used AI agents to hack Palantir, which also gives the impression like, oh shoot, if AI agents can hack Palantir, they can hack anything. I mean, what's not safe if Palantir isn't safe?
Well, this is the pre-quantum era. That concern is only going to grow as quantum becomes a thing. It's going to be a delicate road to travel here. Let's see. Oh, what was I going to say? Oh, to put a cherry on top of some of this conversation here, I have this article from Ray Dalio about the world order, the new world order specifically.
A new world order.
When do we want it?
An article written by Ray Dalio is going viral on X. It's currently at 72 million impressions, which is very large. Now, for those of you who don't know, Ray Dalio is a very famous hedge fund manager, or was, and he's also an author and stuff. He managed one of the biggest hedge funds called Bridgewater Associates, and he wrote a book in 2017 called Principles. And in it, he talked a little bit about the changing world orders, and it's been part of his content for the last few years. And he wrote this big long article, and actually it was mostly chapter 6 from his book. And I'm just going to summarize it because, reading this is a very long article. It's going to take you a while to read through it. But basically he points to the old world order, meaning post World War II, where you had all these nations cooperate. They created the new institutions. You had your United Nations and the EU, and you had all these groups form after World War II, and they all agreed upon this basic rule of law, a shared security guarantees, if you will, at least on paper. And Ray Dalio's argument has been, and now is saying for sure, that thing is over. That whole thing it's done. The title of this article is "It's Official: The World Order Has Broken Down." Coming from a guy on like the inside of hedge funds and stuff, right? It's probably not the most comforting thing for people. But yeah, the old world order is done. And this whole concept fits into his greater view of what he calls a big cycle framework. And according to Ray Dalio, we're moving from stage 5, when the power challenges the system and conflicts and all these things rise, like the chaos begins to happen. The patch bay, we're starting to unpatch some of the connections being made around the world and the security and all the agreements that we had. All the chaos is happening. And then we're moving into stage 6, which is internal disorder, civil wars, revolutions, and or major external wars, where, of course, the cycle will tend to repeat. And he's done all these graphics and videos and stuff that show the rise and fall of empires throughout history. And, of course, there's usually a war, whether it's to conquer or to defend. And after a war situation between two nations or two groups, you have this period of peace. You have, we don't want to ever do that again kind of thing. And then as time goes on, that system gets corrupted, and then the corruption gets exposed. And then there's another war. There's a breakdown, and then there's another war. And then we go back to this moment of peace. And he sort of identifies these cycles, which is true with history. I mean, yeah, you look at the fallen heart of man, and we tend to repeat things. There's nothing new under the sun. So biblically, it's a fairly consistent observation. So we're going into this next phase, and he talks about, and he highlights this escalating power competition, which is going to break down all diplomacy, which we're seeing. It's going to break down the money system, which we're seeing. This is why everyone's fleeing to gold right now. They're dropping treasuries. They're dropping, we'll see what happens to bonds and stuff. And the whole world is starting to buy up gold. Most of the world economies out there now have more gold than any kind of U.S. treasury. So that whole thing has flipped. They're getting ready for whatever's next. And this is also a time for nations, especially where the currencies can devalue very quickly. So part of Ray Dalio's conversation has been not directly Bitcoin or crypto or anything like that, although he has hinted at decentralization and a more sort of open and free model as a better one, or as a resulting one based on the failures of this past world order. So he's not even pro. He's just saying this is kind of what is expected to take place, right, based on the corruption of the centralization of the last century. And then he gets into some of the investment strategies of, like, he's a hedge fund guy. So he talks about where to invest. He prefers hard assets like gold because gold has survived these ups and downs of civilizations. And again, that's why we said at the beginning of the year, we're like, hey, this is a big indicator. It's not just gold going up. It's not just dollar going down. This is like a civilization shifting indicator when gold does what it did with the price and the attention worldwide, because the whole world is going, oh, wait a minute, everything is a scam. What's real? Maybe the shiny rock in the ground, right? That's been around. It's been around before us. It's got value. I also think that's why India shut down their borders, and they said that there was a virus, or wasn't there like a threat of a pandemic in India right when all the gold stuff was happening? I think it was to lock down all the Indians. It's like, you guys got a lot of gold. You guys are probably going to be, one of the world powers if gold continues to do its thing here, or at least for a little period. So nobody leave India with your gold. We got to keep all the gold in there. So, a little pandemic, shut down the borders type thing is really good for that. So anyway, this article outlines, this very, very long article, outlines all these things. And I don't think he's wrong. These are very good observations. And if you remember, Basil, years ago, this was during the pandemic, right after the pandemic, and we were doing 3, 4, 5 episodes a week or something. We did reference a Ray Dalio piece where he basically said that we've been in a Cold War with China for a long time, right, and that we've been sort of having a resource and intelligence and just information war with China over the last couple decades, and that is coming to a head. And I believe he even mentioned how resource, the war over resources and new pipelines, new supply chains will be a big part of this next phase, whatever this phase will be. So he's not really saying conclusively that China is the next one that's going to take over. We're going to all be speaking Chinese, and the world economy is going to be based on the yuan and stuff like that. Although that's what China's trying to do. That's what maybe Russia might be trying to do in some regard. But those things, especially with the advent of where the American technocrat is at, I do wonder what is really going to take place here in the next few years in terms of the actual infrastructure. We're probably going nuclear. We're probably, the small nuclear or modular reactors. That's probably going to be a thing. A lot of resource-based energy efficiency type things will probably be part of the conversation. I saw Jason P. Lowry get very vocal and get attention from the Bitcoin community recently because, of course, the whole Epstein Bitcoin thing has really put a damper on the Bitcoin crowd there. So Jason P. Lowry is being brought into the conversation, who we've talked about for years. Jason P. Lowry, being ex-MIT, ex-Space Force, wrote a book called Soft War that they took off the shelves. And his argument was basically to secure cyberspace, you're going to have to use the proof of work mechanism that Bitcoin provides, and that'll create energy efficiency because there will the balance between physical burning of energy, a physical consequence of some kind, and digital will more align. Right now it's completely misaligned. You can do things digitally without any kind of cost physically, copy paste 1,000 times. Whereas, with Bitcoin, you can't do that because of the energy it burns to maintain the network. And the idea is that if you can provide more secure ways to create that energy and harness that energy with Bitcoin, it'll allow you to secure cyberspace. And Jason P. Lowry went viral recently because he pointed out how his thesis with soft war would effectively prevent the AI agentic bot thing that we saw with Moltbook. He's saying that it would cost so much to do something like that people aren't going to do it. If we peg down the use of these agentic AI or any AI to actual energy, and we'll see if that even happens. It's a good idea. I'm kind of for the idea in a sense, but I do think it's kind of hard to do, especially when so much power is being harnessed with the current imbalance with the structures there. But anyway, Ray Dalio wrote this article. It's very long. We have the link in the show notes for some, Saturday morning reading if you want to get deep into this type of thing with your coffee, with your Canary Cry coffee there. So there you go.
It does. One last thing occurred to me, inspired by your breakdown there, going back to Pete Hegseth, looking to cut off Anthropic.
Yeah.
The one of the really threatening things going on with Pete Hegseth and Anthropic is he's threatening to label them the same label that we do like Chinese made hardware. Chinese made hardware like Huawei, something like that. It's a supply chain risk because the Chinese are known to put in chips and backdoors into their chips, and so they can get in and do whatever they want on the hardware, even if it's used for American government purposes. So labeling Anthropic as dangerous as like a Huawei phone for the government is a really serious thing. It's really would be sort of devastating for Anthropic. And it does illustrate a really intense battle. We were talking about Palantir, the technocracy, the supra-governmental structure where the political government sits inside a more powerful category, the technocracy, right? There's always a question. I mean, Pete Hegseth threatening Anthropic in this way, it makes me wonder if there is still a battle going on. Is the political government, in this case, Trump's political government, we see a lot of what they do in the context of being pro-technocracy. But Pete Hegseth threatening Anthropic in this way could almost be seen, and maybe it's just supposed to seem that way, and it's just sort of a hologram, in the 5th generation warfare. Maybe it's a trick, but it does beg the question, is there a battle from the political government against the technocrat government? And maybe it's just the political government trying to insist, hey, we're gonna need to kill people with AI. Okay, I know you guys.
At least we're being honest with you, okay? Like, it's gonna happen. It's already happening in Israel. So
Yeah, because I can see the technocracy being like, hey, let the engineers and the scientists be in charge because we're smarter and better, and we don't want to hurt anybody. We're not warmongers.
Right.
We're not this. Although Alex Karp's years of quotes about being a psychopath wants to
last year's quote about getting a drone and releasing
spray fentanyl-laced urine on his enemies.
Right. Yes.
So,
great job, Alex Karp.
Psychopathic thing to say, but this could be Pete Hegseth pushing back, saying like, hey, okay, AI, you want to be the technocracy, but you're not going to tell us not to kill people with AI. It could just be, I don't know, an illusion, but it is interesting. It makes me wonder if there is some pushback against the inevitability. But
there is the 2020 document from a shared signed statement of former Palantir workers that walked off the company. There's then Pete Hegseth is mentioned in this document as well. Maybe this document is from last year. Maybe this is a 2025 document. But basically, there's a line in here. I have the documentcloud.org link here, and it says big tech, including Palantir, is increasingly complicit, normalizing authoritarianism under the guise of a revolution led by oligarchs. We must resist this trend. And again, shared and signed by former employees of Palantir, endorse a message warning against the increasingly violent rhetoric which the company is employing today and the actions to which it might become complicit in the future. This has to be last year because it's got Doge and all these Elon Musk's thing and everything in there. So, okay, so this is from 2025. But yeah, there's been this trend over the last year and in spurts over the last couple weeks as well, where people from a lot of the big AI companies are walking and they're sort of putting out the warning like, hey, we got to stop this craziness going on with AI, the various levels of the conversation. But with this one, it's interesting that they named this document The Scouring of the Shire, a letter from concerned Palantir alumni to the tech workers of Silicon Valley. They quote Carl Sagan, but they put the whole thing in the context of Middle Earth and the Lord of the Rings lore here. So
which is a reference to Palantir being a Lord of the Rings magical object.
Right. The power it wields and stuff. Yeah. So anyway, this has been a long conversation, and what's going on behind the scenes with all this is not in view of the public. And that's partly the problem, right? I think with the Kim.com story, it's kind of like, all right, we're bringing this to the public. Number one, why? Number two, is it even true? What's the purpose here? And it does seem like either they want Claude or Anthropic out. They're like, okay, if you're not going to comply, we got another AI in line taking your place. Or so it's like some kind of threat to them to get in line, or they already have someone else in view, and maybe this is a way to get rid of it. Or if they are truly compromised, as Kim.com says, and it's compromised to Russia and or China, then this is just the PR campaign starting to separate from Anthropic, and because that thing is a couple years old, that deal, it could be this transition period where we move to something else. But also, like Palantir doesn't have stuff on the Chinese and Russian government, and spying on them.
Yeah, as
if we don't have stuff on. So anyway,
I mean, that's kind of the craziest part of the Kim.com thing, saying the hackers are planning on sending all this data to China and Russia, which interestingly does kind of fit in with Ray Dalio's. He also went through the whole timeline of the rise and fall of empires. He's the one claiming we're step 6 out of 9 to the fall of the American empire. And yes, what usually happens when one empire is declining, the next empire is rising, is that they get in a big war. He says China is the next, rising empire, like you mentioned earlier. And yes, if there was a Palantir hack, and it's not just some AI psyop, for whatever reason, the giving of all this blackmail data to Russia and China certainly would play a pretty convincing role in some sort of shift of power from China to America. But who knows? It's just wild.
It is very wild. We'll just have to keep an eye on it.
Speaking of the weird flip-flops, it is still a midterm election year.
Yeah.
So, you got to put everything into election year psyops as well. And one very interesting thing we've been seeing, especially thanks to the perhaps AI timed release of the Epstein documents during the midterm year, a lot of surprising Democrat voices starting to inch it honestly to the right.
The Epstein files saved the Democrats. I'm gonna say it. It saved they needed something to separate themselves. It's
They're
like
finally
this
making up.
baby eating Satanists finally did it. They drew the line.
It's interesting too, because it's not just the Epstein files, which is certainly part of it, but Hillary Clinton saying mass migration was a bad idea. Barack Obama saying mass migration was a bad idea. The Democrats setting themselves up for the midterms by taking right-leaning positions, which is to say simply positions that reflect reality. I mean, that's the frustrating part. You look at the left and the right politically, and it's annoying because people don't like us. We don't like to consider ourselves left or right. That's not the game we want to play. However, it's very clear that the biggest difference between the left and the right is the left lives in a fantasy world and the right simply reads the news. Like simply their idea of the world is based on reality, meaning mass migration.
A little bit closer to yes. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm not talking about necessarily like MAGA or something, any specific. I'm just saying the vague separation of left and right is left listens to a media narrative that is created to make them mad and fight Nazis, and the right simply just like watches what is happening around in the world and simply sees, hey, mass migration is not a good idea. Hey, there seems to be some elite cabal doing bad stuff. Hey, and it's not like politically motivated. It's just like, no, look, the mass migration is bad. It's right in front of you. Look what it's doing. And so, we see, when I say we see Democrats moving to the right, what I really mean is they're simply just admitting reality as it is. And this is going to help them a lot in the midterms. It is the most dangerous thing for the political group called the Republicans. But the most dangerous things for Republicans is Democrats starting to admit reality. That's going to be the most dangerous thing. And like I said, you got Hillary Clinton, you got Barack Obama, you've got even John Fetterman starting to just admit reality.
I'm not surprised with Fetterman, the first cyborg senator, going with the whole Republican talking. He's been kind of he was one of the first ones.
He's heading the charge, but he still considers himself a Democrat.
I would call him a pioneer. He's
pioneer
to
charge, but the other Democrats are starting to understand it. Well, let's go ahead and circle back because we had another very interesting Democrat figure who worked in the White House, helped distribute the most delusional narratives of COVID, went to work for MSNBC, the Democrat messaging platform, and Jen Psaki came out with a strange moment of lucidity, admitting reality.
It is Trump, yes, and everybody should continue to dig more about that. But it is the wealthy, the elites, in basically every faction of the world. It's global leaders. It's people in the business sector. It is people in Hollywood, probably. Who knows? It is a bunch of people who think that they can get away with anything. Circle back, but I'll have to circle back. Circle back, but I'll have to circle back. I'm happy to circle back. I'll have to just circle back with you. We can circle back on that one. Circle back with you. It's an interesting question, but we'll circle back.
New look and everything. She got her hair tied back. Mark Zuckerberg's sister or clone, I'm not sure, admitting that we're run by world elite. Is that what I heard correctly?
The most shocking part to hear Jen Psaki say is, yeah, it's Trump.
Trump too.
Yeah, it's Trump, but for her to even hint.
What do you mean?
That
Trump was the punchline. They've moved on.
Anything could be anyone else's fault besides Trump is a revolutionary history shifting moment in television. Yeah, it's Trump, but is like, what?
Well, listen, it's been 10 years. Trump? The Trump hate run had a good decade. It's time to move on. Okay. Even the the lefties of the leftists are realizing it's time to move on.
I mean, I wouldn't even call her like a true leftist. She's just a true mouthpiece of narrative crafting, right? She's just like, doesn't matter. Reality makes no sense. She doesn't hold any real opinions. All she does is mouthpiece the psyop, right? Yeah. And it's like, yeah, Trump, but also the worldwide global elites who think they can get away with anything. So we have the Democrats,
maybe even Hollywood. Who knows? That's what she said.
Yeah,
she said,
right.
Maybe even Hollywood.
Calling out Hollywood, calling out the bit, whatever. Everybody is absolutely insane and signals a big problem for the political right, the Republicans, because that's simply, I mean, it should not be so mind-blowing, but to simply hear her state any point of fact and not blame it directly on Trump, just to even say, yeah, there's other bad guys, and then to specifically throw the word elites in there, you know, talking about literally a whole class of people who think they can get away with anything. Yeah, even Hollywood. You know, if AI is involved in the timing of the release of the Epstein files, AI is also involved in telling the political left exactly which parts of reality they need to admit to, you know, actually have some sort of effect in the midterms. It's really wild.
Well, I think we will. I think we can keep track of this and see how things unfold as time goes on. And I'm concerned that, you know, in 10 years from now, some political group is going to be freaking out about the satanic pedophiles, and you know, most people will have moved on from that. You know, it'll just be an old thing where it's not happening anymore, but some people are still freaking out about it.
Or it'll
just be
behind. Yeah, so integrated into just sort of like normal baseline understanding of the world that it won't even register. Like it won't,
well, yeah. If you want to be a politician, you will give us your video footage from when you were born, because your parents have it all. You know,
it's just like there's gambling at the casino. Oh my gosh, whoa!
Right,
people aren't going to be making real political decisions about it because it'll seem inevitable, and that's the real danger with all of this. Is when something becomes so widely known and maybe accepted is the wrong word, but when it becomes normalized, right? It'll be like, you know, kind of like politicians lie, you know, oh my gosh, politicians lie. Oh my gosh, global elites are satanic pedophiles. Oh, you know, I'm going to go to whatever. Like it won't even, that's the real danger, is for that to become so widely accepted that it no longer works as a political message, you know, because for the political right, that's been a very effective, growing, effective message over the years is, oh my gosh, I need to vote Republican because of Epstein, you know?
Right. Yeah, that's true. But yeah, it almost, the Epstein files is like the final bastion, you know, once they threw that out there, it's like the ship is leaving the dock there, whether you're either on the ship or you're not. And, you know, the line has been drawn with cannibal pedophiles in politics or not. It's a pretty clear line. Although the op on the other side, I think, is also just as important to keep in mind, because clearly, and we've been yelling about this for a few episodes now, and it's been thematic throughout the last several years, is this rise of CIA content creators. And there's always been your maybe ex-intelligence or ex-FBI or even ex-CIA people out there talking and bringing interesting conversations, but they've never been outright. I don't know, maybe there's been a lot of covert ones, not many overt, like, hey, I'm ex-CIA and here's some weird crazy stuff, but that's kind of where we're headed. And there's a podcast here from, I believe his name is Jesse Michaels, and he had an interview with somebody named what is this guy's name here? But Rolf Moat Larsen. And I'm going to play the trailer, a few moments here, a little under a minute of the trailer, just so you get an idea. But this has to do with the CIA. It's our famous num 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 clip where ex-CIA director was asked if we were still in other nations covertly to take over, and he said, well, num 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 num. So this is the podcast with this guest here, and this is how they presented it. I'm starting to get skeptical of a lot of the really highly produced shows of any kind, Basil. Like, it might be a blessing for us to keep some of our production levels down, because it's going to appear more authentic than some of the production levels that are coming out now. So here's a little bit of this trailer here.
Our next guest worked for the CIA for over 2 decades.
He goes, if you are stormed, die in your separate foxholes.
His name is Rolf Moat Larsen. He served in various roles all over the world, some of which he can't even speak about today. What's the most on the brink the world has been that you can talk about?
Well,
he's been shoulder to shoulder with Putin. He describes working directly with NSA director Michael Hayden, CIA director George Tenet, and even briefing former President George W. Bush, Vice President Dick Cheney, and UK Prime Minister Tony Blair. But while he's worked at the highest, most illustrious levels of international diplomacy, that is the least interesting thing about our next guest.
And of course, he has a book, A State of Mind, Faith, and the CIA.
Yes, of
Yes,
course.
yes.
We've been watching this psyop for some time, that the CIA seems to be perhaps infiltrating the culture of faith growing around the country.
Yeah, here's the last minute of this little clip.
Mystic, Rolf Moat, Department of Energy Intelligence Officer, Moscow.
Hold on, I'm sorry. That's the whole part that I want to show here at the very end here.
Here is all 4 hours of it. Former CIA and Department of Energy Intelligence Officer, Moscow Station Chief, time traveler, and religious mystic, Rolf Moat Larsen.
Ignition sequence start.
Okay, so you heard it there. Time traveler. That was one of his claims, is that he time traveled back to the 15th century or 16th century or something. So, and he's described as a religious mystic. So if you had any doubts that these guys are out here trying to provide the narrative for a new type of spirituality, I mean, this is it right here. But pretty obvious, if you ask me. Any thoughts before I jump into a little bit of his book here, Basil?
No, sounds good. I mean, because there's a couple of things. We've been documenting this sort of infiltration, of the faith community and infiltration of the conspiracy theory community. Now, of course, this isn't new things. Of course, they've been doing this for a long time. But as we've seen, like you said, with the rise of CIA podcasters, the rise of faith topics with those podcasters, this is very interesting. The time traveler thing is also very interesting.
I mean, that's the thing. It's tapping into where traditionally, if there was stuff like this out there on George Norrie Coast to Coast or something like that, maybe it was a covert CIA op, some kind of Mockingbird or some operation to get that test that narrative out there on Coast to Coast, because it's wild and fringy and it's late at night and only the weirdos are listening, like you and I, Basil. I think you and I both grew up listening to Coast to Coast. But but now it's like it's part of the fabric of I was in the CIA, I'm writing a book, and I time traveled. Like,
So trust me.
okay, all right.
And I'm a man of faith. I'm CIA, a Christian, and time traveler. I fit all three, credibility markers, and so follow me, right?
Yeah. So his book is titled "A State of Mind, Faith, and the CIA." The little synopsis here on Amazon. A State of Mind, Faith, and the CIA is a memoir of the life and work of a CIA officer. It is also a journey of faith. During the Cold War, the art of handling and recruiting spies was the focus of intelligence work. In those days, the practice of espionage raised serious moral and ethical issues, but it was a well-established and universally accepted form of statecraft. The shocking 9/11/2001 terrorist attack on America forced a fundamental reassessment of the purpose of intelligence and its role in safeguarding a nation. U.S. intelligence, the military, and their allies waged a global war against terrorism using extraordinary means that raised unprecedented moral and ethical issues. Spies were joined by drones. Extreme measures were developed to kill, capture, and interrogate terrorists. A reluctant witness to history was compelled to answer the call from God and country. So he is framing himself as some kind of national hero.
You mentioned time travel in there. It kind of seems like
you didn't say it in here. It seems like
maybe the book doesn't include the time traveling.
Maybe
separate.
You can read the first few chapters on Amazon. You know how you can kind of pick at a few chapters. So here's a little bit of his book.
We got to have him on the show. We should see if he'll come on for an interview, because I would be curious to pose the question to him. Hey, we're seeing a lot of CIA podcasters, seeing a lot of, what do you think is happening here? I don't even want to, not to try to get a gotcha or something, but I'd be curious on his perspective.
He would probably say, well, just consider that I came on your show. And then we would be compromised, Basil. There you go. Boom. This is chapter 3 from his book. It's titled 747, like the numbers, 747. And it says here, the numbers emerged from a mist drifting in the background of my mind. Wisps of smoke thickened into a dense fog. The fog cloud turned white to gray before fading into black. I was blind. I fought panic. Must stay calm. I could no longer see. My sense of smell was diminished but not gone. My hearing was impaired. I was unable to make out any words, only the gathering of loud whispers. Or was it the sound of hissing surrounding me on all sides? I could not tell. I felt trapped between God and Satan. Wait, I could see something. I could not see with my eyes, only with my mind. I saw numbers being formed, seemingly arising from the swirling fog. I saw a cube. You saw a cube, Basil, with the number 7. There was another cube with the number 4. Another revolving cube drifted toward me out of the distant, looming larger. The number was another 7. At first, they appeared as 3 individual cubes, rotating, revolving, spinning in my mind's eye. Slowly, the cubes lined up in sequence, space, and time, forming one number, 747. Centered between God and Satan, the armies of Armageddon were assembling. I can smell the preparations of an impending battle. I inhale the suffocating dust from the vibrations of legions of foot soldiers marching to the battleground. I caught a faint whiff of metal vapors from the rhythmic pounding of breastplates. Horses whined. I breathed in the rotten odor of passions rising, in the evil that lusted at the prospect of slaying good. My thoughts betrayed me. I feared my presence would be unveiled. I think he's remote viewing.
I was going to say, is he remote viewing here? Is he on ketamine? Is there?
He's probably remote viewing. But it's very interesting. It's a powerful narrative in terms of like
remote
drawing people.
The Battle of Armageddon. That is very CIA.
CIA. Like, hey, go check out the end times there. So very, very interesting. So anyway, that's some of what you'll get with this book. And then, maybe that's what he meant by time travel, because I think I didn't watch the full interview, but he did talk about how it felt like as if I was there, and I felt all the sensations and emotions and all that kind of stuff. So I think
all the true unclassified CIA time travel stuff is all remote viewing, is all astral projection stuff. They don't have but either that or the chronovisor, but it's the remote viewing stuff that's really sort of the famous CIA time travel.
Yeah. Well, there's an eclipse happening. That's always a thing, and it's got something to do with China. And of course, space, as it were. This one always takes a second for me to figure out where the space Pope reptilian always pops up, and the other one doesn't pop up. Where's the other jingle? Jingle board is not cooperating with me.
Where are you, Jingle?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why it's not giving me the space jingle. Well, what did you do with the space jingle? Well,
space.
Want to go to space?
There it is.
All right. Okay. Well, there's the annular solar eclipse happening, I believe tonight. I think it's tonight. Although the moon and sun appear nearly the same size in the sky, their apparent sizes do change over time. What am I reading here? I thought I was reading here, NASA solar systems account, gray check mark on X, which means it's an official government website or government account. You could witness an annular solar eclipse tomorrow if you're in Antarctica. I forgot that was the other part of the story here.
So a new discovery in Antarctica.
Penguins.
Starting at 5:48 a.m. Eastern Time on Tuesday, February 17th, an annular solar eclipse will be visible over part of Antarctica. Annular eclipses occur when the moon blocks the sun but doesn't appear large enough to cover the whole thing, leaving a ring of fire visible around the moon, which is interesting because we have a ring of fire around the moon as China celebrates the new year, going into the year of the fire horse, Basil. The fire horse year is here. No longer the year of the snake. It has completely shed its skin. And now we are going into the year of the fire horse with China's, not China's, but the annular eclipse over Antarctica. I don't know. It's like all these different esoteric things coming together for one hoorah tonight.
Yeah, well, the eclipse over Antarctica, that's where, of course, all the Nazi sorcery bases are. It's also where all the aliens are posted up. So an eclipse in Antarctica is probably more important than an eclipse anywhere else.
That's true. That's true. So I'm sure. And plus, did we talk about what account was it? Maybe it was a New York Post last week. Maybe we didn't bring it to the show. The New York Post was referencing how there's an alignment with Saturn and Jupiter and Mercury and Venus or something. And there's some kind of expectation of floods and fires and chaos and stuff like that. And it was like, wait, why is New York Post talking about some esoteric astronomical alignment or astrological alignment, I should say, that will usher in some kind of apocalyptic event?
Right.
So very strange. All that stuff is taking place right now.
Okay.
They're not afraid. They're not afraid to talk about the strange esoteric things of this world. And maybe that's part of the occult becoming public esoteric. It's no longer occult. Occult means hidden. No longer hidden. It's out in the open. And, they need that paradigm from people in order to use AI or something. They don't want a bunch of God believers to use AI. They want, that are read up on Revelation or something. They want people that think that they're changing the world,
Yeah, well, that's
fixing the world.
That's kind of the sketchy mix of the CIA podcasters, CIA influencers, describing themselves as Christians or people of faith, because along with that CIA stuff comes things like astral projecting time travel, which you wonder which influences are to bring about either belief or faith in other weird, like you say, esoteric things. Just something to keep an eye on, folks. As always, if you're favorite podcaster claims to be in the CIA or was in the CIA or loves the CIA. I mean, look, I've said plenty of times, I'm very grateful to the CIA for making a lifestyle as an American, the cheap gas, the world domination. Look, life in America would be something totally different if it weren't for the CIA today and the CIA of yesteryear. So got to give them credit for that. But when it comes to astral projecting and Jesus, they gotta prove themselves. I think that's
Well, there's a lot of New Age thought over the years that have a different form of Jesus and a different interpretation of the second coming. Specifically, your Alice Baileys, your Helena Blavatsky's. There's a few others. They all had a view of the second coming that I think is being adopted by the technocrats in a way.
Oh yeah.
So it would make sense that they're trying to push out this sort of Christian-like type of language, like the Christianese, if you will, the Christian verbiage to go with what they're trying to do. And then also probably Peter Thiel got wind that like, hey, this is the mark of the beast stuff is in the Bible. And he probably thought like, I better get ahead of that because that's exactly what we're doing. So we better put a couple Antichrist lectures out there, let people know we're aware of the problem. We're aware of the PR issue that might arise with a 2,000-year-old prophecy from a book from the Iron Ages, right?
Yeah.
Very interesting times we live in. But
keep your head on a swivel, everybody. Keep your head on a swivel. And remember that not only all of that, but there is still the conspiracy for control over us in so many different ways, but including the commoditization of our minds, the commoditization of our consciousness, the commoditization of our trust. We see this now when it comes to the data brokering of every secret desire of our hearts being pumped into an artificially intelligence data center to create a digital twin of us in order to train ourselves and those who wish to control us. But even before that, the days of yore, the magical art of advertising, of the manipulation of our understanding of the most important resource we have, which is our time, our consciousness, our trust. We usually call this advertising, and you might be happy to hear that we don't do any of that here. We don't take any money from corporations, commies, cartels, the mammon worshiping cult of global theology, of commoditizing the most important things in your life for our personal gain. That's right. We're on the value for value model, folks. It means we don't take any money from corporations, commies, cartels, governments, the Vatican, nothing. We're entirely funded and sustained by our producers. Well, by God, through our producers. And because we don't take time out of our day to sell some sort of product or use the trust that you put in us to convince you to spend money on things you don't need to solve problems you don't really have, that does leave some room in the canarium for producing the show. It's very simple. You can produce the show with your time, your talent, your treasure, whatever it is that God's given you to participate in his work on earth. If you're blessed by the show in any way, we just ask you to consider producing the show. Again, if you've got time and skills that might be helpful to the show, to the community, if you are an artist or a musician, you can create art or music or whatever, go to canarycry.arts. You can upload it there. We'd love to show it on the show. Or if supporting the show financially is more what you're called to do, you can support the show financially. It's very important, and we're very blessed to have people who understand that each and every one of us is responsible for playing our part in keeping media alive that brings value to our lives, not just bring value to advertisers or bring value to platforms to keep you on the platform more time, more seconds, more minutes, more hours of your life, because then it can be commoditized to, train AI or convince you to purchase things. So it's none of that here. So we have producers of the show, again, in many different ways. Our executive producers are people who come in, they support any individual episode like this with $100 borks or more.
Might as well be
we,
borks at this point.
Yeah, we thank them profusely. And I'd like to thank a couple now. Of course, the one, the only executive producer, Sir LX Protocol, V2 Baron of the Breen Protocol. That's right. He comes in for $100 and 33 cents.
Illuminatus!
And he's on a 462 episode streak. Sorry, a 463 episode streak and a 117 episode executive producer streak.
Thank you, Sir
Thank
Alex
you, Sir
Protocol.
Alex Protocol. We also have executive producer Sir Jamie, not the Lannister, coming in with his weekly tithe. Thank you,
Jamie.
Sir Jamie.
Thank you, Sir Jamie.
That's it for the executive producers today. We had some people come under the executive producer amount. That's $100 or less. And I would like to thank, to start, Sir Marty B.
Hey, Sir Marty B. Thank you.
Yeah, Sir Marty B, out of the base, I believe.
Yeah.
Who comes in for $77.74.
All right.
Let me just double check to see. I don't recall getting a note from him, but he's coming in reliably with his $77.74. I think he does that about once a month. Yeah, I don't see a list. Thank you, or a note. Thank you very much, Sir Marty B. We also had Sir Marty K come in. Sir Marty K showing up on the list. Our one of our European producers. I haven't seen him around for a while. He came in for $12.19. Thank you, Sir Marty K.
Thank you, Sir Marty K.
I think he had an email here. Okay. He does send in an email. He says, AOC for President 2028. Says, hey, Canarians, I'm not here to cause trouble or a riot, but have you seen our AOC being so powerful, elegant, beautiful, and dominating at the Munich security hoopla thing? She was almost as good at our glorious Danish Prime Minister Mutamete. I have decided to, air quotes, help you Americans to get AOC anointed and being your new president in 2028. I think it would be healthy for you with an intelligent woman in charge. So I have decided, and so it shall be. You can thank me later. Yours truly, Sir Marty K.
You know, he's right. The New Republic had this article. This is the headline. Published today. What? Maybe the time is right for an AOC presidential bid. She's only 36.
I was seeing, yes, there's a lot of talk about a Kamala AOC ticket.
Oh, Kamala she'll tear down the whole AOC. Don't do it, AOC. Don't let her.
Well,
ruin your
Democrats. They're very strict about whose turn it is.
Yeah, well,
and they don't really move on when they have a failed candidate. They don't move on. It's like their turn. So they
Tim Walz is going to run with you too, I guess.
Yeah, perhaps. And AOC again as a clue that she's lining herself up for a presidential bid. She went to the Munich Security Conference.
Yeah.
And there's some pretty embarrassing clips of her there being totally unable to answer some, pretty basic global security questions. We're not going to play them here, but yeah, it's possible. I mean, it's definitely possible that either a Kamala AOC or a Gavin Newsom AOC. I'm not sure if AOC would come in as the presidential candidate, but just because she, other Democrats have paid their dues a lot longer,
right.
And that's just the way they do it. But AOC vice presidency is quite possible.
Oh boy. Yeah. If AOC, don't do it, AOC. Don't try to tag along with Newsom. She may not have a choice, though.
Well, she doesn't really have a choice. It's just whatever basically Hillary decides is what goes.
Well, Hillary's deciding that she's going to become a Republican, so it's
yeah. Well, that'll be the interesting thing if AOC starts, expressing views that are a little bit closer to reality. That's a little bit tougher for her because she's a DSA.
Built
She's
her whole thing
a
on
democratic socialist.
crazy.
So
Yeah.
those who would like AOC is not big with your normal Democrat. Like the radical Democrats love AOC. The normal Democrats are kind of like, okay, all right, she's young and she gets the young people fired up, but there's a large, as we're learning, a large portion of Democrats are kind of basically Republicans, but just don't want to be unpopular or like don't want their house burned down. So they'll go for like, the more average which is where kind of, anyways, I don't want to get into it.
Well, yeah, why it's so weird. I mean, it just, I guess it's the signs of the times where whatever political power is in power in the country, the other people feel like they can't say anything. Like they feel so ostracized they can't speak out or something. It's
mostly just because the Democratic Party was taken over by progressives and really made it scary for normal people. They're sort of forced to have radical opinions. But what we're seeing now, and what was evident in the 2024 election, was that there was a lot more not crazy Democrats than the Democrats, kind of counted on. But anyways, AOC, yes, vice presidency, I can see they're trying for I think Kamala was there too. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm thinking of that, but for Hillary and AOC to go to the Munich Security Conference it says a lot, and it's very similar to the message that Gavin was giving by going to the World Economic Forum.
Right.
The governor of California, he had no place going to the World Economic Forum. But that was kind of signaling his presidential aspirations.
All right.
Thank you very much, Sir Marty K.
Yep. Thank you, Sir Marty K.
We had a couple people sign up for the supply drop. Producer Jennifer B and Josh G both signed up for the supply drop, which is a big deal because we're running. It's just another week or so. If you missed out on the fourth quarter supply drop, you missed out on the Canary Cry calendar, you missed out on the gold backs. If you sign up for the supply drop by the end of February, midnight on February 28th, we had some leftover stuff, some leftover calendars, some leftover gold backs. So we want to give people a second chance if they want to get their Canary Cry calendar, if they want to get their gold back and they missed out, it just didn't work so it's kind of hard because, December, there's the holidays, there's Christmas presents. It's hard to, the value for value is the first thing that goes out the window. So if it just didn't work out, but you want to sign up for the supply drop, support us, you'll get a calendar and a gold back that comes with your full first quarter supply drop for this year. It's very exciting. And so, yes, Jennifer B and Josh G will both be getting their calendar and the gold back. And there's definitely some more waiting for anybody. So go to canarycrysupplydrop.com, sign up to support the show. Big ol' shout out to all of our monthly producers. Of course, producership value for value has been in quite a slump for the past maybe 6 months because of the economic uncertainty and all these sorts of things. We do pray that the Lord blesses everybody and their household with more than they need. And then, of course, if value for value, keeping our show alive is in the cards, of course, we pray that the Lord inspires you to do that. And signing up for a monthly producership is a great way to do that. You can pick any amount that you want, even $1. The fact you took the time to press the buttons goes a long way to keeping the moral support high around here. But if you sign up for the supply drop, go to canarycrysupplydrop.com. Sign up to support the show for $33.33 a month. We'll send you every quarter a big old package filled with custom created Canary Cry gear. The Canary Cry calendar will go out as a special for anybody who signed up and missed the fourth quarter, and a gold back. If you heard heard us talking about gold backs, you've been watching gold go up in price and you're very sad you don't have any gold, this is a great way to get your hands on a little bit of gold. And of course, support the show. Let's see here. There was something I got. Let me see here. I think I got a little bit of insight into what's being included in the first quarter supply drop. Let's see here. Okay, we're going to have a Canary Cry flag. We're going to have some Canary Cry car coasters. We're going to have the Canary Cry GMO-free garden seeds for either your preparations, or we got Canarians growing gardens every spring. So get your Nephilim, free, GMO-free the seeds. It's going to be, of course, a bumper sticker, some stickers. The Basil's Bees lip balm. This one has been in the making for quite some time. So if you want to be just like your best buddy Basil and obsessively put on, the Basil's Bees lip balm live on the show every day, join the supply drop. Very special thing there. So thank you to all of our monthly supporters, and a big ol' shout out to Jennifer B and Josh G for joining in the supply drop. And I encourage everybody else to go sign up there. It's at this point the only thing keeping us alive, folks. So please, thank you. I think that's it. We had our producers come in under $7.77, which we will thank them officially on Wednesday because they're keeping their streaks going. Appreciate that, guys. And I think that's it for financial producers today, Gonzo.
Very good. Did you want to do this one piece of art that we got?
Yeah, we can't. Well, let's do this. Let's not play the music because there's a good chance that that's the person did not state whether this was royalty-free music or not, and we're tired of having our content taken down for unknown royalty-free music. Sir Marty K came in, and this is very interesting. I'm going to read his note. Folks, you can support the show with your art, create something for the show, and you can send it in. We'd love to show that. This is a little bit maybe outside of our normal realm of what we consider art for the show, but it's just been so long since we'd heard from Sir Marty K. He took a little break from the show. Things were getting a little heated during election time. I'm glad to see Sir Marty K back interacting with us. But it's always very interesting. I'm not going to go into it too much, but, Sir Marty K, he has very unique, humorous style. He sent in a video here where he included, a video of Trump and Epstein, the classic one where they're talking at a party, and added some memes about Denmark taking over the US and some stuff about Hitler and KKK. Not gonna lie, don't fully understand what he's communicating here, but he does send a note, and he says, "Thank you for the USSA by ruining the Winter Olympics by sending ICE agents to Italy. But the brave Italians ain't gonna have any of it and is kicking the living daylight out of the ICE agents in the streets of Milan. Lol. And their own police force too. So I made a 1 minute, 4-second video about and put on some memes. I call it Trump is a raving alcoholic. Oh, and maybe you should look through it, Gonzo-san, before Basil decides to censor me. LMAO." Yeah, this is always interesting when somebody takes a break from the show and then comes back to the show, how the worldview has changed. We did cover the ICE agents at the Olympics, which we thought was very strange as well. Turns out that it's very common for DHS to send ICE agents as security to the Olympics, wherever they go, not for, obviously, immigration operations. We did a whole segment on that. Not sure if Sir Marty K caught that segment or not. It's very interesting with our overseas producers. There's always we often are misunderstanding, let's say, types of humor from overseas. I'm going to assume that this is humorous piece of art from Sir Marty K.
Yeah.
Who knows? Yes, we also thought ICE agents. I will say the ICE agents did not were not on the streets and did not fight anybody. It was just the Italian police. And those, when we were doing the research on the Italian protests as well, the majority of the protests were economically driven, not economically, sorry, ecologically. The protesters didn't like how the Olympics, hurt the environment. They didn't like how it hurt the economy of the local economy of the Olympics. The Olympic Village and things like that. There were allegedly some who are making comments about ICE being present to place security for American diplomats. But to my knowledge, I don't think ICE actually fought protesters. I think that was just the Italian police. But anywho, glad to have you back on the list, Sir Marty K. Hope all is well over there in Denmark. And God bless you. Keep us posted.
Yeah, there was that one spot where there's a tweet screenshot here, and it says, breaking, Denmark announces historical claim of North America. Vikings were there in 1021 CE, 755 years before USA existed. If we're doing territorial grabs based on who was there first, we'll see ourselves in.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, it's kind of funny because I don't think Trump is saying we were in Greenland first. I think his point is territorial grabs based on who was there first does not seal the deal for Greenland. I think it's seems like it's making kind of the opposite case. But here's the thing. I've said it about Sir Marty and Denmarkians before. They should have lots of Denmark patriotism. I am always very confused by the Denmark arguments and understanding of what's going on. But, I don't get I'm not in the Denmark bubble. I don't really understand what they're being told. Certainly does not match what I think what we see happening, but it's good for them. They should be patriotic. They should be defensive. And it turns out in the long run, Denmark does get to keep Greenland and Trump gets to put his military bases there. Sounds like everybody got what they wanted. So
there you go.
Yeah. Okay. We didn't have any other art. Oh, yeah. And just to note, Sir Marty K did upload this art at exactly 3:33.
Oh, look at that. Look at that. Exposing yourself, Sir Marty K.
3:33. This is military time. So 3:33 in the morning, Sir Marty K uploaded this video. So maybe he was staying up late to work very hard.
Late night art for the show. Thank you, Sir Marty K.
And remember, anybody putting together something like this, you'll want to make sure not to use copywritten music, and then make sure to confirm that and then tell us that in the note, or else we're taking a risk playing any sort of music. Okay, what else do we got here? You have anything else going on? I guess we should let people know about, we have some meetups coming up.
Yes, we do have a couple meetups in the pipeline here. We have February 28th, North Glen, Colorado meetup, Prost Brewing Company. And it's Saturday, February 28th. And there's an RSVP with Kona.
Looks good.
Yep.
Couple of weeks.
Actually, I guess it is a week and a half, 2 weeks, if you will. Yep. RSVP with Kona. Phone number is on the website, canarycrysupplydrop.com.
Yeah.
And then we also have March 3rd, meetup with Andy in downtown Los Angeles at the Yuko Kitchen. And I thought I updated this with the phone number.
It has the RSVP number there.
It does there? Okay, I just need to refresh this page. But yep, contact Andy.
Exciting Los Angeles, California meetups. I'm not sure. I guess there has been a meetup in Southern California. I don't think it was.
So, yeah.
I don't know if it was Los Angeles, but there you go. It's just these poor Californian Canarians finally have an opportunity to meet some other Canarians in their area, which we highly recommend. If you're in the Denver area, if you're in the Los Angeles area, I know there's some talk about a Pennsylvania meetup. I know lots of people talking about putting meetups. Go see if there's a meetup near you at canarycrymeetups.com. If there's not one near you, put one on yourself. It's super simple. All you do is pick a time, pick a place, email us, tell us when that is, at canarycryradio@gmail.com. Say, hey, I'm in Des Moines. I want to meet up on the 7th of March, and tell the people and tell us where, and we will tell the world. We put in the email list. We'll let people know. And meeting other Canarians in your area is maybe the most important thing you could be doing at the beginning of this year, because who knows what's going to happen, and you'll want some people on the level on your team when things go totally sideways.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, we got some producers to thank who help us out with their time, and of course our favorite, the timestampers.
Timestamp.
Timestamp. It's hard work. Timestamp.
That's right.
Yeah.
Timestamps.
Looks like we did not have a timestamper last episode.
Okay, well, they're probably still working on it. So thank you to, I'll say, Jade Bouncerson and Morgan E for timestamping in the past and timestamping in the future.
Absolutely.
Hey, if you're not planning on going to a meetup or meeting other people because you are just such a rebel and you want to go through the apocalypse alone, and you don't want anybody in your area who understands you and can help you get through it in person, but you want to meet people online, you can join some of our communities. We have a Telegram channel and a Discord channel. Big thank you to Jam for heading up the Telegram channel. Thank you to Adam42 for heading up the Discord channel. If you want to know how to get in there, you can go to canarycry.party. You'll see little buttons that will tell you these are the invite links to get into those groups. Highly recommend you do that. People have lots of fun in there. Thank you to Joe for the feedback. Thank you to Clank for clanking. Thank you to Sir Ike for everything you do for us. And thank you to you, dear listener, for sharing the show, sharing it with everyone in your life, because everybody's waking up. People are freaked out, man. Even the Democrats in your life, they're like, wait, there's a satanic cabal doing horrible things. You can say yes, but no need to panic. There's been a lot of us who understand, and we're looking at it through a perspective that brings peace and understanding and an eternal outlook that is not only going to give us endurance to make it through in this physical realm, but also be rewarded with the eternal life that Jesus has for us. We call it rattling cages. All you got to do is walk right up to him, grab him by the cage, and then you shake it.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted. I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! Don't ever silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
That's right. Just ask Noah. Oh no, Gons, we made so many mistakes. We forgot. Go to CageRattlerCoffee.com.
Oh, that's right.
Go to CageRattlerCoffee.com. Get your coffee. Support the show. Support other Canarians. It's the best coffee in the world. Go do it now. Sorry, CageRattlerCoffee.com. Go to CageRattlerCoffee.com. And a shout out to everybody who joined the Canary Cry text message alert system. Text the word Canary to 877-740-3226 to get an alert when we go live. But also you can text us back. We're praying, producers listen up. We're praying for Seth as he starts negotiations for a new contract at his job. The company is aggressive and really wants to take away basics like how they earn vacation. Praying for Seth for that contract negotiation. Go with God. We also, big thank you to 678 who just spread the word to some teenagers in the square talking about President being a time traveler. I told them to look up Canary Cry Radio, and they did. Thank you.
Nice. All right. There you go.
3 new Cage Rattler coffee promo. Free slave to servant singularity CD with any purchase. No minimum. No code necessary. Get a slave to servant singularity CD when you buy coffee. Go do it. Let's see here. 763 Faye says, I would never make it to the show on time if it weren't for your texts. Thank you. Watching on the 66-inch screen and looks great. Again, text Canary to 877-740-3226, folks. Gons, do you have any last words?
Well, I did, but we're out of time.
Yeah, CageRilerCoffee.com. Thanks for listening to this episode of Canary Grind News Talk. Make sure to tune in next time. But until then, think outside the cage.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Buy!
Children in the space lane.
I'm an adult in a spaceship.
Supersonic space plane screamed to life and the vehicle swooped upward on board. The passengers experienced 3 G's of force from the burst of extreme acceleration and watched the blue sky fade into space.
In the back have been cleared to unstrap.
Oh, yeah.
In the back have been cleared to unstrap.
Yes. Do it, Richard. Do it, Jeff. Do it for humanity.
To all you kids down there, I was once a child with a dream. Now I'm an adult in a spaceship.
He can accomplish it. You can too. Big windows, cool. Rocket ship, cool. Space plane, cool.
Nukes,
cool.
Blowing stuff up,
cool. Space plane, astronaut, rocket ship.
ABS anchor.
Yeah, Bezos is a human. Just look at him. Go to the bathroom in bags. He can go to the bathroom in the cosmos. It changed everything. Wives in space. Children in the cosmos with your best friend brother. Wives in the cosmos, children in the space lane.
We are headed to space.
This is not about freedom or personal choice.
Deconstruction and analyze. Canary cry who's tall. Exposing the lies. Let the glory of Christ shine. No place to hide. You're like a new age neophyte, running under cover of the dark of night. But the truth will expose with light. Two brothers, embezzling guns, arcades. Of corporate news reporting, they're gonna show you how they're distorting the truth into lies. Like a new age neophyte, running under cover of the dark of night. But the truth will expose with light. Expose with light. Expose with light.
They love killing.
The deep state and the swamp. The swamp, the deep state. The swamp, the deep state. The swamp. So they're going to meet the deep state. What? They like Taylor Swift. The deep state is saving us from Armageddon, they say. Deep state means any government worker. That's the deep state. When we hear deep state, instead of recoiling, we should rally. Deep state, deep state. Even though their work is often invisible, it makes our lives better. Thank you, deep state. This is the most magnificent
Let's invite some dudes over and fellowship tonight.
When the news of the day gets to feeling like a maze, it's okay, don't be afraid if you don't know what to say. Canary, cry away. When your brain's in a haze and a headline days, come on ahead my way, I can help you out the cage. Canary, cry away. Canary, cry away. Oh, canary, cry away. Oh, the world's changing every day, each and every way you turn. There's another thing to learn. Reading in between the lines, thanking Jesus for our lives, and nice to see His glory shining like the sun. Run the race until it's done. Come on, everyone. Canary, cry away. Oh, canary, cry away. When your brain's in a haze and the headline days, come on ahead my way, I can help you out the cage. Canary, cry away.
It's value for value. We take no money from corporations, commies, or cartels.
Canary cry.